Well, I'm going to tell you a story about Daniel. Daniel in the Bible. He's an interesting character. Lots of interesting things happened to Daniel. And so I had this marked. And this one is entitled Daniel in the Lion's Den. Lions, we see lions in the zoo, don't we? And some of us have been fortunate enough to see them out in the wild. But this isn't where that lion was. This lion was down in a pit. And he was there for a reason. If the king didn't like somebody or he wanted to get rid of somebody, he just put him down there in the lion's den. What do you think the lions did? Yes, terrible. That wasn't a mean thing to do, wasn't it? There it shows the lion, you see. Yeah, there he is. Uh-huh. But that's what the king did back in those days. And this is a story of Daniel, who was an Israelite and had been taken by a foreign king into his kingdom and had been there for a number of years. He was actually an older man when this happened. And so he had a habit. Even though he was in a foreign land, every day he opened his window and he prayed toward Jerusalem, which is where he came from. And because he knew that that's where the temple was, where they had the worship of a true God. But he was in a land where they were worshiping false gods. And so Daniel was faithful in doing that. But because the king liked Daniel and honored him, there were some other men that were working with the king that were jealous. They didn't like that, and they thought, well, I've got to get rid of Daniel if we can. And so they thought up a scheme that they would go to the king and have him make a decree. And they praised him. He was such a wonderful king that he was like a god to them. And just have the people pray only to you for so many days and not pray to anybody else through the idols we have. Just honor you. And the king should have seen through that, but he didn't apparently. And so he agreed to that. And after the king Darius had signed that, he couldn't change it. And so, sure enough, these people were watching, and Daniel opened up his window just like he always did, even though he knew what was coming, and they were watching. And when he went and prayed, they ran to the king and they said, Daniel, he's praying to another God. He's not praying to you. He's praying to his God. And the king was sad because he saw what they were trying to do now, but it was a little too late. And so he had to take Daniel and put him down in that lion's den. What do you think the lion did? Well, ordinarily he would have just pounced on him and killed him. But anyway, as the night went through, the king probably didn't sleep, and the next morning he got up early and he went over and he looked in there and he said, Daniel, was your God able to keep you from the lions? See, he already knew about Daniel's God, didn't he? Isn't that interesting? And Daniel said, oh, don't worry, king. I'm here. And you know what he said else? God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth so it couldn't hurt me. So even though that was a wild lion, there you see Daniel. You can see a picture. He's down in the pit, and it looks like it's got more than one lion there, maybe. But the lions couldn't do a thing to him because the angels had shut their mouths, the Bible says. So the king was happy, yes.
How about if a lion, like a mountain lion, if it was in there and they were living in the mountains, would the lion, if God haven't done that, would the lion eat him or not?
If God had not shut his mouth, the lion's mouth, he would have killed Daniel. He was a wild animal. He was, yeah. And they used him to kill people. That's what they did. It's very sad, but that's what was happening. Yes. So they took Daniel out and set him free. So, and then they took the men that schemed against him and put them in with the lions, and you can imagine what happened to them.
They ate them.
Yes, it's sad. Anyway, it's an amazing story, but it teaches us that if we are like Daniel, we obey God and trust him, he will send his angels to protect us from harm and danger. We can be sure of it. The Bible says so.
I know that when God done that, he was saving Daniel, because you're only supposed to pray that God, because if you don't, he won't save you like he did Daniel. And he prayed to him, so you're supposed to pray to God. And that gives you a reason why you're supposed to pray to God.
He's the one that protects us, yes. Okay, let's get a basket here, each of you. And I'm going to put some money in each one of them before you leave. So